Welcome back to HFO Multifamily Market Watch, your trusted source for information for apartment owners and investors. Multifamily Market Watch is presented by Pacific Exteriors Northwest, a contractor specializing in siding and exterior envelopes and delivering exceptional quality and service for over 30 years. And by Gantry Incorporated, the nation's largest independent mortgage banking firm.
Welcome back to HFO-TV. I'm Greg Frick, partner at HFO Investment Real Estate. Today we have with us Wayne Achen, project coordinator for Pacific Exteriors. Wayne, thank you. They're one of our sponsors for some of our events, and it's great to have you come in and talk a little bit about Pacific Exteriors, but really we'll get into some stuff of what you guys do, but thank you.
I'm glad to be here.
The audience a little background on, the company and yourself, and then we'll talk, a little bit about some questions about exterior and windows and all that.
We've been around for about 10 years.
Okay.
We're one of the leaders in the Portland, Vancouver area in the Northwest for multifamily complete building envelopes. We deal with everything from roofs, siding, gutters, windows, anything exterior on the complex.
And is it so existing redos, or is it ground up kind of stuff?
Typically existing redos.
Okay.
We specialize in complete resides.
Gotcha. So a lot of our owners are, have experience with, internal unit remodels or repositions, but a lot of them don't, because this is not something you do all the time with a, unit turns over, you're going to turn over the unit.
Right.
We're talking about the exterior. So maybe talk a little bit about in the Pacific Northwest, what you see, or should owners be doing? They've got an older building. I mean, do they bring you guys out to look at it, get an assessment in terms of the site? Because the stuff you work on is the big mechanical systems. That goes bad, the whole thing goes bad. So maybe just shine some light on that.
Typically we work with a number of consultants.
Okay.
So typically we'll bring a consultant in, they'll come in and do an evaluation of the property, maybe open up a couple areas to see what's actually going on underneath the siding. A lot of the complexes have the old vinyl siding,
right,
which hides a lot of the problems that you don't see until you actually peel that layer off to see what's going in with water intrusion. A lot of the things we'll see is improper installation of the windows or siding, which causes water penetration, which is going to cause the interior framing to rot out behind the vinyl siding that typically isn't noticeable until you actually take that skin off the building.
So yeah, you don't even know what's going on. You may have some issues on the inside, but it may be caused because of what's going on the outside of the building.
Absolutely. It hides a lot of the problems that you see that you don't see. And we typically don't see that until we actually open that building up and find the cause of the problem and the damage that's been done by that problem.
And then are there things that owners can do depending on the siding to, make that siding last longer? Or do you guys advise in terms of that, or when you're looking at projects?
We typically advise to maintain the property.
Okay.
Keep an eye out for any water intrusions. Keep an eye out for older windows that may be leaking. It's a good idea to bring in action consultants like Pacific Exteriors Northwest to actually take a look at the windows to see if they were installed right, that's not allowing water in through the windows or into the framing.
Because we do see a lot of windows that have been, because windows have one thing that we've seen a lot of complexes where windows are replaced, because of the shelf life when they're new construction. But then again, the replacement comes in, if they're not done right, you've got a host of issues.
Right. Well, the typical windows that they put in built in new construction homes and new construction apartments are typically only good for about 10 to 15 years max.
Okay.
So a lot of the times we're seeing windows that are 20, 25 years old, those windows have been failed for 5 or 10 years. They've lost the gases inside. They've lost the seals on the windows. You'll start seeing the windows fogging up from the inside, and they've outlived their usefulness.
So again, I think that's for a lot of people that don't know, you hear, the age of the roof, depending on what kind of roof you do, it's, 20 to 30, or flat roof's a little different, but you don't really ever hear that about windows. So it's interesting for, people that think it's a one-off on your window, but if you got some failing, more than likely they're all going to start going.
They're all going to start failing within, years of each other. So a lot of the units we see, there'll be a 15-year-old complex. If they've got 15-year-old windows in there, they were a cheap grade window they got put in. They weren't designed to last that long.
Got it. So then we've got to address that.
You've got to address that.
And then on the siding side of that, on a 15-year-old building, the siding is going to typically last, if it's done correctly, depending on the product, you'll have a longer life cycle on those.
You can have.
Yeah.
A lot of the times we're seeing with the new construction with the apartments is they use the lowest bidder when they install the product, so it wasn't necessarily installed correct.
Okay.
So if it's not installed correctly, it's going to start failing. You won't have the proper sealing around the framing, the windows, improper installation with nails, just not doing it right.
So it's not really the product issue; it's the installation, which is
Most of it is an installation issue.
interesting. Okay,
You can have a great product, but if they don't know how to install it, it's not going to work. It's going to fail.
and then that ties into with the decks. I'm sure you guys are dealing
Right.
with decks, which is something that comes up a lot. It's probably the same situation, though. A lot of times that's more visible.
A lot of the times, yeah, they just don't install it correctly. They use the wrong spacing on the stringers for the decking. They don't integrate it right into the wall. We're seeing units that are failing after 5-6 years.
Wow.
We've got a complex we're working on now that's, the decks are 7 years old and they're all failing.
And again, it's a design install issue, or
It was an install issue. They
Yeah.
just installed it incorrectly, and they didn't do the waterproofing right, and all the decks are rotting out now after 7 years.
oh man, so. I have a question on product. I mean, what are there any new innovations on product type coming in the exterior? From siding, windows, decking that you're seeing that's maybe weren't around 10 years ago.
Not really.
Okay.
A lot of it is the biggest thing we run into is improper installation of the windows or siding or both.
Okay.
Same with the roofing. There are some new roofing vents that allow for better ventilation of the attic space, which has helped a lot. There are some nicer windows out there, the higher end windows by Milgard.
Which will get a longer use, and
You get a longer use, a better U value, better insulating value. That's going to save the renters, considerable money on that.
okay. So, but it goes really back to vinyl. Not a lot of people are doing vinyl anymore. That
No.
was back in but it's really nowadays. Was it installed correctly? Because, and again, like you said, you don't see a lot of these errors until way down the road.
Typically, they'll be fine for the first 5 or 10 years.
Yeah.
But after that, it starts creeping up. You'll get seal failures on the windows. You'll get improper installation on the siding that'll gradually start showing up.
And could somebody bring you guys out to take a look at their building?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And we do that, 3 or 4 times a week. We go out and take a look at buildings and give our assessment, what we think's going on. And that's typically when we bring the consultants in, or they'll contact us and bring us in to take a look at that.
And then if there's issues, find a scope of work and then go from there.
Yeah, we'll open up 6 or 8 areas on a complex. And, we just did one yesterday that, 15-year-old complex, and there was water intrusions everywhere.
Yeah, which again, for people that don't know, in the Northwest, it's water. It's not pested.
It does get wet around here.
Yeah, it does get wet. Yes. Yes. Yeah. So we get people from Southwest, they always want to talk about termites and bugs. And that's not that big of an issue here. It's water penetration.
No, they drown up here.
Yeah. So it's, yeah. What other, what about roofing? You guys do roofing as well?
We do complete building envelopes.
So complete. Okay.
Everything, roofing, siding, windows, gutters, decks, fences, doors, we do it all. The problem with the roofing is we don't see as much of it as we used to, but the 3-tab roofing. If you have a complex that's 20 years old, a lot of those have the 3-tab roofing on there as opposed to the architectural roofing.
Right.
The difference between the two is the architectural roofing is literally 2 layers of roofing glued together. Architectural is 1 layer. They had a 60 to 70 mile an hour wind rating, sometimes as low as 55, 60 mile an hour wind rating. For the 3 tabs, the architectural roofing is 130 mile an hour wind rating.
So just with 2 layers glued together, inevitably you've got weak spots.
You've got twice the coverage as opposed to a 3 tab. Also the lifespan of a 3 tab is only about 15 years, where architecturals are minimum 30 years, some as high as 50 years. So it makes a big difference on the 3-tab roofing, getting rid of that and putting it on a good architectural roofing.
And so then your guys' geographical, you're up all through Washington, all through Oregon. If we've got owners that own properties all around the Northwest.
We do everything in the Northwest.
Okay.
We've done work down in Seattle, Eugene, Olympia, everywhere in between.
Okay. And then I guess I have a quick question is, I know during COVID, there was issues with supply on windows. Is that alleviated, or is the time frames, extended out because of supply issues?
Those are pretty much gone.
Those are gone now.
Yeah,
okay.
we haven't, and we really didn't have that big of an issue then.
Okay.
There was a 6 or 8 week lead time on some of the windows and some of the siding products. That's been taken care of. That's gone. I think our typical lead time on windows is about 2 weeks.
And then in the Northwest, is there a time of year to do this? Are you guys adapt enough? If we have an issue, can you work through the winter, or does it have to be, spring, summer, early fall?
If you can't work in the winter in the Northwest, you go out of business.
Yeah. But you guys were able to do siding and all that throughout
We work year round.
Okay.
There are times we won't ask our crews to work if it's snowing, if there's ice on the ground. If it's not safe to be out there, we're not going to be out there.
Got it.
Roofing, same thing. the Portland Northwest area, we don't get a ton of rain day after day after day. We'll get rain one day and then it's gray for a week.
Right. So you get spots.
Right. Flat roof's a little different. Flat roofs, we need to have a couple weeks of dry weather. It's harder to tarp off. Architectural roofs, sloped roof, pitched roofs, we work year round.
You can do that.
Yeah. If it is a downpour, we're just going to cover it up and walk away until it stops. But we work year round.
Okay. Well, again, I want to thank you for taking the time to come talk to our audience. Like I said, the stuff that you guys work on are major systems within a building. And as you said, I think a lot of people know about age of roofs.
Right.
They don't talk about the age of the windows or the age of the siding. And,
right.
As we said, there's a lot of things that can happen. And if you don't find them early or, don't find them at all, it's a big surprise when you find out, take off the siding.
The biggest thing with the maintenance is for an apartment manager, call an expert that knows what they're looking for. Don't rely on in-house maintenance. Call a consultant, call us. We can come out and give you a complete evaluation, look at the roof, look at the siding, look at the windows, look at the overall condition of the property.
Okay.
We've been doing this long enough. We know what to look for.
Right. And then from that, you can base a plan on, this needs to get done immediately. You've got some time
Absolutely.
on this. Got it.
One of the biggest things in the north, especially this time of year with winter coming up, is keeping the gutters cleaned and keeping the roofs cleaned off. I mean, that's, a 6-inch gutter, which most apartments have in a 20-foot run. If that gets plugged up and filled with water, that's almost 400 pounds of ice.
Coming down.
That can come down, creates ice dams on the roof. That'll cause them to leak. Biggest thing is just maintenance.
Right. Just maintain it. Well, it's surprising. We'll have a lot. You see buildings with water issues like in the foundation.
Right.
It seems like 80% of it's the gutters. I mean, they just would have kept the gutters clean. We
Yeah.
would not have, so, it's a small thing, but it causes a lot of, damage out throughout.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. It's similar like decks. It's not a big component of a building, but you get a improper installed deck where you've got water going behind the flashing. It's all kinds of issues.
I mean, we've got some right now we're working on where the decks are literally falling off the complex because they were installed incorrectly.
Yeah.
And just poor waterproofing, and the walls are completely rotted. We had to condemn
Is
the walls off.
construction getting better? I mean, do you see new construction getting? Is the quality of the construction getting better, or is it still hit or miss based on the subs? And
It's getting better.
it is getting better. Okay.
But a lot of that is, a lot of people go for the lowest bidder, and that's not always the cheapest case.
Right.
So
So
the most expensive job is you do is one you do twice.
yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And, it's the lowest bidder is not always the best price.
Yeah. Well, thanks again for taking the time to do
Absolutely.
this. We'll see you again on HFO-TV. Thank you.
Our entire office specializes in multifamily real estate, making HFO the largest multifamily brokerage in the Pacific Northwest. Your success is our passion. Build your legacy with HFO. Call 503-241-5541 or visit our website at hfore.com for more information.